We again would like to thank all the participants this morning, especially today you have shown the future in front of your eyes. The one who is playing the piano is the future of this church. So history is being made at this time because the future is being shown to us by our young children. Thank you very much. That's a good job. How many of you again enjoyed the Sabbath school lessons this morning? You should come early. Rio is conducting a good job in terms of one of the studies that we are conducting. We have studied about Solomon, how he was one of the highest and the most respected king during his time. But due to problems with self, he was put down. We also study about a person this morning, maybe in contrast to Solomon. Rio has mentioned his name this morning, but let's try to proceed. At this point in time, we can see a lot of anger within our society. It's shown in what's happening in Charlotte. It's shown in what just happened in Washington. You can see sort of like a volcano about to erupt. And we know and we look at that as a preparation for the future. We live in a society which, like a volcano, is trying to store up anger that sooner or later is going to break forth, causing pain and misery for many. There are far too many hostile people going around looking for some way to unload their anger. In fact, my wife has been warning me, be careful when you go out. You never know what will happen because of the present hostility and anger that we can see in our society. What is anger? Let's look at the meaning of anger. It is a strong feeling of being upset or annoyed because something wrong or bad happened, or a feeling that makes someone want to hurt other people, to shout and do otherwise. What's the effect of anger in your body? Especially with outbursts of anger within ourselves. You know, you could have a heart attack 2 hours after you have those outbursts of anger because of the hormones, cortisol, your heart functioning fast, and all your system working hard and straining your heart. So you could have, with an outburst of anger, if you do not control it, you could have a heart attack within 2 hours. So be careful, especially for those people who have outbursts of anger. Other health problems associated with anger, whenever you get angry, especially very often, you have headache, indigestion, insomnia, anxiety, depression. Of course, you will have high blood pressure. Eventually, you might have a stroke and even a heart attack. You could also attribute some of these anger issues to some of our skin problems. So how do we solve this? How do we fight anger? Some would say, get out of the system first, the place where you have your anger, and perhaps cool yourself down and then come back when you have cooled down. Recognize and accept that you are angry with something, and then just simply accept it as part of your life. Try to pinpoint the exact reasons behind it and identify the problems that you are facing. That's why you're angry. Do something physical, as in maybe jogging, playing sport, just to relieve those anger. But this morning we will also study another solution to anger. Remember Joseph, son of Jacob. Who's the mother of Joseph?
Rachel.
Rachel. And who's the brother of Joseph? Benjamin. So Joseph and Benjamin were the sons of Rachel and Jacob. And of course Jacob showed favoritism in terms of his children. He loves Joseph very much, and he has given even a coat of many colors. While it is not the solution to every instance of anger, let's look at forgiveness. Forgiveness is the answer to much, if not most, of the anger we experience in life. We can see this even in our daily lives. When you're driving a car, somebody cuts your lane, you get angry. You don't forgive, you try to catch up that guy. You end up fighting each other. In some instances, shooting might even a car, even just with road rage that you have, because there was no forgiveness from one side to the other. And if we have forgiveness there, then everything would have come down. Unresolved anger leads to bitterness, hostility, and revenge. We study the effects of anger to our health. These are also some of the effects. But forgiveness leads to freedom and reconciliation. No character in the drama of the book of Genesis is better illustrated than the life of Joseph. Let's go to the forgiveness first, and let's see what this means. I like the meaning in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It says to stop feeling anger towards someone who has done something wrong. That's forgiveness. Stop it during the time that the anger is starting, to stop blaming someone. Since we have studied the effects of anger, let's see the effects of forgiveness to a person. Once you forgive someone, let's see what these health effects are. According to the Mayo Clinic, forgiveness brings with it plenty of health benefits, including improved relationship, of course, with your fellow men. It decreases your anxiety. You don't have to fight anybody. And stress. It lowers your blood pressure, lower the risk of depression, and you have stronger immune and heart health with forgiveness. So instead of anger going inside us, why don't we change it with the effects of forgiveness? Let's go back to Joseph. Remember those years where Joseph spent slavery while he was in prison. There should have been an anger within Joseph during the time. How angry could he have been, even with God, for letting those things happen to him? But something is right with Joseph. Joseph recognized that God was with him in his sufferings, and that these were from the loving hand of the sovereign God. If we lose track of God guiding us, then we lose everything. Solomon lost track that the glory being given to his kingdom was from God, and self entered in. And if we lose that track, then everything goes down, as Rio would say. Turn with me your Bibles. Let's try to focus on this instance and show the forgiveness cycle as Joseph has done to his brother. Genesis 45, verse 1 and 2. Then Joseph could not refrain himself from all them that stood by him, and he cried, "Cause every man to go out from me." And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. Imagine yourself being in the shoe of Joseph, undergoing slavery, being jailed, being thrown in a pit, being sold. Who would not feel? Who would not be sad during that time? And Joseph just like any human being, felt the same way as what we would feel at this time. He wants to be alone for a few moments. He wants to weep because he is to reveal. He is now to forgive, planning to forgive his brothers. Even though he hid himself, the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard it. It must have been a loud cry, isn't it? Imagine with the big building that you have in Egypt, and you being alone, and you cried. It must have been very loud. It must have been a big thing for Joseph during that time. Now that it was time to reveal himself, Joseph wished this to be done alone. He wants to be alone for a few moments. Maybe sometimes we should be. When we are angry and we are about to forgive. Let's give some of the reasons why he wants to be alone. This was a family matter. He wants to solve this within the family. It has to be an intimate one, and outsiders should not be involved. Whenever we feel like forgiving, whenever there is anger, let's try to solve it within the family circles if we have family problems. Joseph felt that the full release of his emotion held in check for years would cost him the esteem of the servants. Of course, people will see you whenever you show anger, and you might even lose the esteem or the respect of other people. So try to do it in your family circle. It was an order to deal with the matter of the sin of his brothers in strictest privacy. So this was the thought of Joseph during the time that he wants to be alone and he was weeping. He wants to deal with this sin in his own way, in a private way, in a matter within the family, within those people who were involved. Let's proceed with Genesis 45, 3 and 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, that my father lived, is he still alive? And his brethren could not answer him. Who would not be able to answer him? If I was the brother of Joseph, I'd throw him to the pit. I sold him somewhere, and he ended up, you never know, they might have died already. And then this guy comes up and says, I am Joseph, showing himself. Who would not be able to speak? Well, they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me. But did Joseph say, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom he sold into Egypt. Joseph was satisfied with the repentance made by brother Judah, even offering himself instead of Benjamin. He had seen in his brothers the fruits of true repentance. Upon hearing Judah's noble offer, he gave orders that all but this man should withdraw. Then, weeping aloud, he cried, I am Joseph, that my father yet lives. So he talked to his brothers, and the brothers were dumbfounded. His brothers stood motionless, down with fear and amazement. The ruler of Egypt, our brother, imagine being second to Pharaoh, and you sold him before. Now he's the ruler of Egypt. Imagine if you were his brother, whom they had envied, whom they say is a dreamer, and would have murdered and finally sold as a slave. Or the ill treatment of him passed before them, yet they had acted their part in fulfilling his dreams, and now that they were completely in his power, he would no doubt avenge the wrong that he had suffered. Gagantihan ako dito, sabi ng mga kapatid siguro, no? Baka gumanti itong si Joseph, biro mo. Imagine, binenta natin, tapos hindi natin alam kung ano nangyari. We do not know what happened to him. And especially, I'm sure during the time, they were wondering, in fact, what happened to him. Let's go back to Genesis 45, 5 and 6. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourself, that you sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve your life. Look at Joseph. He still focused on God during the time of his hardship, even facing his brother, even during the time when he was forgiving his brother. He said, God sent me here to help you, to preserve you. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you, a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he had made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Look at Joseph. He said he was sent by God. All these troubles, yes, God sent me here. He had made me a ruler of this kingdom. He had made me lord of Pharaoh's heart. He gave all the glory to God, even during the time when he was forgiving his brothers. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant in the earth, and to keep you alive by a great deliverance. Now therefore it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his household, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, therefore, and go to my father, and say unto him, Thus said thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen. And thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herd, and all that thou hast. Imagine also the feeling of Jacob. Perhaps when he heard this, see his favorite son, whom he regarded as dead, now being sent into Pharaoh in Egypt. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see in the eyes of my brother Benjamin that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and all that ye have seen. And ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, what did he do? He kissed all of them, forgiving all of them, and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talk with him. That's the only time when brothers were able to talk to him, after he has kissed him and after he has wept with him. And behold, your eyes see in the eyes of my brother Benjamin, see that it is my mouth which is speaking to you. Now you must tell my father of all my splendor in Egypt, and all that you have seen, and you must hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell on his brother Benjamin's neck, wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck, and he kissed all his brothers and wept on them. And afterwards his brothers talked with him. If you were Jacob, will you not be proud of a son like this one? I'm sure you will be so proud of his son. Maybe he would even say, maybe I trained him well. I must have done a good job on my son for him to be the ruler. Maybe it was God who gave this son to me. The sons of Jacob returned to their father with the joyful tidings. Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over the land of Egypt. The brothers then made their humiliating confession. Again, this needs your imagination. Imagine the sons of Jacob confessing to the brother whom they have mentioned to have died and perhaps been eaten by wild animals to be alive. For their wicked treatment of Joseph, Jacob had not suspected them of such cruelty, but he saw that God had overruled it all for good, and he forgave and blessed his erring children. The life of Joseph, based on the writings of the prophet, the life of Joseph illustrates the life of Christ. Joseph's brethren proposed to kill him, but were finally content to sell him as a slave to prevent his becoming greater than themselves. But the very course which they pursued, God overruled to bring about that which they designed never should take place, that he should have dominion over them. The life of Jesus, Savior of the world, was a pattern of benevolence, goodness, and holiness. He was holy in all aspects. Yet he was despised and insulted, mocked and derided for no other reason than because his righteous life was a constant rebuke to sin. And all who would ever come to him repentant, confessing their sins, he has received into his favor and freely pardoned. And if they remain true to him, he will exalt them to his throne and make them his heirs to the inheritance which he has purchased with his own blood. Let's look at forgiveness. It is a vital part of Christian life. It's a solution to anger. It's not only beneficial to your health, it's beneficial to your Christian life. Let's look at this. Forgiveness is a vital part of the Christian experience. It is necessary in terms of our relationship with God. Matthew 6 is mentioned, for if you forgive men for their transgression, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men, then your Father will not forgive your transgressions. It is an important part of our responsibility also to others, to both friends and to both enemies as Christians. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ also has forgiven you. Whatever evil is committed against us has been designed by God to come into our lives for a purpose that is good. That's the doctrine of sovereignty. Everything that comes to us, it may be good, it might be bad, but we should thank God for them, for God has a purpose in everything that's happening to us. We were brought all here because God has a purpose for each one of us. Behind our enemies, a loving God. We may be feeling down at this time. We may have frustrations. We may have all the problems in the world, but behind that is God who has a purpose, who brings affliction and suffering into our lives for our good and His glory. So this morning we have studied about anger. We have studied about forgiveness. Which one would you choose? Anger or forgiveness? In terms of health, you already have the benefits. In the spiritual life, you have all the benefits. Let's start considering this, especially with the things that we're seeing now, with the bad things in our society, with the happenings all over, not only in the United States, but also in our country, the Philippines. Things are happening which are bad. It's time for us to give forgiveness a chance.